So, hey, welcome. This is a prenatal yoga practice, and just a couple things before we get started. Hopefully my voice will hold out. I do recommend a couple props for this practice, namely a pair of blocks, minor cork. You don't need to use cork, you could use foam blocks, but definitely have a pair of blocks. And then also a couple options for cushioning. I have a yoga blanket, which is folded up nice and thick. You can use that to sit upon to elevate your hips. Alternatively, if you have a yoga bolster, or if you have a meditation cushion, something that's a little bit more dense, you can sit on that as well. And when we take our seat, I like to have the shins crossed. You can take as loose of a cross as you need, and just bring the sit bones towards the front edge of the blanket, just to let the hips be elevated. If you need a little bit more support here, you can always take blocks underneath the knees, if that feels more comfortable for you. So in prenatal yoga, it's really about your comfort. It's about not squishing the baby, and it's about listening to your body, of course. So if anything presented here is too much, let me know. We can modify it, take it down a few notches, whatever you need. And if anything hurts or is uncomfortable in any way, please don't do it. Let yourself back out of it. So always, always honor your body. So we're going to get started. Find a nice comfortable seat with the shins crossed. And this is Sukhasana. So this is just an easy pose. And we're finding a little bit of activation here in the body. So as you settle in, you can let the eyes soften closed. We're going to draw the sit bones down, pressing the tailbone down into the support. And see if you can begin to press a little bit through the crown of the head. So the very top of the crown of the head, the fontanelle, presses up a little bit. The sit bones press down. So we're finding a little bit of lengthening in the spine. As we lengthen the spine here, we find just a little bit of core turning on, which is always very helpful. And you can let the arms relax just for now. Just feel the breath. Noticing how you're breathing without changing the breath in any way. Just notice the breath that you brought with you to your practice. Let the shoulders be relaxed. The heart stay lifted. And soften the jaw and the face. We're going to bring a little bit more awareness to the breath. So see if you can first begin by breathing into the uppermost part of the rib cage. So finding space between the collarbones and the shoulder blades. And see if you can keep the shoulders from rising up towards the ears. And the next inhale, we breathe into the middle part of the rib cage. So breathe out and underneath the armpits. And you might also notice the breath coming into the back body just a little bit. You can breathe into the lung space behind the heart. And let that go. And then the following inhale, it comes into the lowest part of the rib cage. This is where the diaphragm draws down towards the feet on the inhale, and it recoils back up into the body, towards the heart on the exhale. Maybe you're familiar with diaphragmatic breathing, just softening the belly, letting the belly expand and contract. And see if we can take these three areas together. So in the next in-breath, breathe in first to the upper part of the rib cage, and then the middle, and the lowest part of the rib cage, including the diaphragm. And exhaling first from the diaphragm, and then the middle part of the rib cage, and then the uppers. So three-part breath. Breathing in upper, middle, and lower. And breathing out lower, middle, and upper. And just give yourself 2 more rounds just to play with this breath. Get accustomed to it. Notice how the body feels as it expands in different areas. Notice how the body relaxes on the exhale. And take 1 more round of breath. And we'll just gently lower the right ear to the right shoulder. Just finding a gentle side of the neck stretch. And keep that left shoulder relaxed. And keep the breath flowing in and out. And very gently, we'll lower the chin to the chest. So finding a stretch in the back of the neck. And try not to round the back body. Keep the spine nice and straight. And then slowly take the left ear over to the left shoulder. So just creating a little bit of space in the neck. And then gently lower the chin towards the chest once more. Spine is straight, shoulders relaxed. Breathing into the back of the neck. And then gently lift the gaze once more. We'll release the hands down to the earth. So let the fingertips touch down, and once more, come back to the integrity of the spine. So the sit bones press down, we press up through the crown of the head. And let the palms face up towards the sky. On the next inhale, we slowly reach the arms overhead, breathing them up. And then flip the palms and slowly lower the hands back down to the earth. On the inhale, we press and reach. And the exhale, we lower down. And so this next time, the right hand stays grounded to the earth. And the inhale reaches just the left arm up. So lengthen through the spine, reaching up through the fingers, take an inhale. And with that length, we'll just slowly side bend over to the right. And you can walk the right hand away from you a little bit, make any adjustments you need, just to feel comfortable in this pose. Let that left hip stay nice and heavy. And slowly on the inhale, press yourself back upright. And that right arm raises to meet the left. And the left fingers lower down. So again, inhale, lengthen through the right side, reaching through those fingers. And on the exhale, we side bend to the left. So the right hip this time gets heavy. And breathe in the spaces between the ribs. And soften the face. So there's a couple things we avoid doing in prenatal yoga. Inhale, draw yourself back up. One of those is a twist. We're going to avoid the twisting here. Inhale, reaches through the fingers, lengthening. And then slowly we'll lower the hands down. Bring them down in front of you. Take a breath, lengthen the spine, and then slowly lower the heart down. So twisting, applying any pressure, especially in the later trimesters. Also, we avoid inversions. Down dog is an inversion, but I'll offer a modification for that pose. And just breathe. And very slowly walk the hands in. Excuse me, fellow frog today. And come back to a seat. Relax the shoulders. Now once more, release the hands to the earth. And flip the palms to face up towards the sky. Now on this next inhale, gather anything you need for your practice. So an awareness, an intention, a dedication. And press it all together with the palms and bring the hands home to the heart. And it's here that we'll breathe that intention or dedication into the heart. And on the exhale, we slowly send it out to the universe and sliding the hands up towards the sky. Releasing the fingers, intention and dedication out to the universe. And let the fingers float back down. So let the intention that you said or the dedication you created guide your practice. And visualizing that idea or that person in your mind's eye. And drawing energy and breath there. So moving very carefully, we'll make our way onto hands and knees coming into table. So you're welcome to take that support if you have a blanket and take it underneath the knees in your table pose. Other things you can do in table, if your wrists are uncomfortable, you can come down onto the forearms. And if you have blocks, you can bring the forearms down to blocks, just to give yourself a little height. And the other thing I'm going to suggest in table is take the knees a little wider than the hips. And you can let the toes, big toes, come towards each other in the back. So this can be your table, or this can be your table. And if your wrists are doing just fine, you can release the blocks for now and just place your palms down in table. So in table pose, the hands are underneath the shoulders, wrists under shoulders, hips are stacked over knees, the spine is long, the fingers are spread wide, and the elbows turn towards the knees. You might have just noticed the eyes of the elbows rotated towards the top of the mat. So the bend of the elbows face towards the knees. And this helps turn on some of the muscles in the back body. Let the spine be nice and long. The neck is long, the gaze is down. And take a breath here. And just let it go. And then we'll flow through a couple rounds of cat-cow. So on the next inhale, the pelvis tips forward, the belly lowers towards the earth a little bit, the heart reaches forward, the gaze lifts. On the exhale, the tailbone draws down towards the earth, the navel draws in towards the spine, we round the back, shoulder blades separate. Inhaling into your cow, lowering the belly, lifting the gaze. And then exhale, rounds you to cat. So we round the back body. So picturing a frightened cat. And just let yourself flow between these two poses. And again, if it's more comfortable on the elbows or on blocks, you're welcome to. It's a little bit challenging with the elbows on the floor. One more inhale, coming into your cow pose. On the exhale, we're going to round it back, coming in a child's pose. So the knees stay wide, so there's room for the belly. And the hips sit towards the heels, and the hands can walk out a little bit. And just notice where you're comfortable here. Maybe it's comfortable lowering the heart. Maybe you want to keep it lifted. Maybe you want to bring the elbows to the floor. So any version here. We're just letting the hips rest towards the heels. The knees are wide. Tops of the feet are on the earth. And just relax the head as much as you can. And as you breathe into the belly, maybe you'll notice just a little bit of softening or releasing happening in the lower back. So this pose is good for opening the lower back and the hips, and settling and centering the body. And very slowly coming out of the pose, we'll come back to table first. And we're going to tuck the toes, make it as graceful as possible here. Tuck the toes and shift the weight onto the feet. And actually, we're just going to make our way to a stand. And let yourself roll up slowly. We're going to maneuver ourselves on the mat. So go ahead and move the blanket off to the side. I'll make your way to the top of the mat, and this is where you're going to want to have the blocks available. So make sure the blocks are accessible. They should be maybe on the highest height. And when we come down into a forward fold, they're going to be basically underneath the shoulders. So you can set those up. And then find first a mountain pose. So let the feet be hip distance or a little wider. Find the weight in the four corners of the feet. And press the toes down. And see if you can find a little bit of what we found in our seated pose, our Sukhasana pose. So see if you can lengthen the tailbone down just a little bit. Press up through the crown of the head. Find a little bit of activation in the core. Relax the shoulders. And just breathe. Come back to that 3-part breath for one round, upper, middle, and lower. And breathe out, lower, middle, and upper. And on the inhale, sweep the arms overhead. And the right hand takes the left wrist, and we anchor through the left foot. And we just gently side bend over towards the right. And inhale guides you through center, and we switch our grip. Anchor through the right foot, and we float to the left. And inhale through center. And release the hands, and we're just going to slowly swan dive down. So soften the knees, reaching the arms down towards the earth as we come into a forward fold, Uttanasana. So feet are hip distance or a little wider. You can have a soft bend in the knees here. We're going to hang out here for a couple breaths. So let yourself find a little bit of a stretch in the back of the legs. Toes are grounded, making room for the baby here. Relax the shoulders, relax the head. And just let yourself hang here a little bit. You can always grab opposite elbows if that feels right for you and gently sway the torso. Or you can keep the hands on the blocks and just gently nod the head yes and shake it down. So this is a little inversion as well, but this is okay. We're not going to be here for too terribly long. And take a breath in. You're going to press yourself into a flat back. So reaching back through the tailbone, forward through the crown of the head. And on the exhale, soften the knees. We fold forward once more. And we'll take that once more. Inhale to a flat back. And this time on the exhale, we're going to step the right foot back. So we're going to lower that right knee down and then bring the blocks towards you a little bit so they're underneath the shoulders. So you find ourselves in a low lunge. And you can pad that right knee with the blanket if you need. The blocks are under the hands are under the shoulders. So you can find the height that works for you. And we're just going to let the hips sink. And you can again move that left foot to the left a little bit, creating a little bit of width and space. We're just going to hold this pose for a couple breaths. So you can always draw the hips forward. So I'm not directly right hip stacked over knee. I'm shifting my hips forward a little bit. So you find a little opening here in the hip flexors and psoas. And you're welcome to stay right here. As you advance in your practice, you can bring the hands to the knee. And as you advance further, you can take the arms overhead. And a little bit further, if you wish, you can find just a little bit of a back bend, lifting the heart up towards the sky. Keep bending into that left knee. And see if you can press the top of the right shin down. So that really helps your balance here. And if at any point you feel unsteady, you can bring the hands back down to the blocks and take one more breath. And then from here, we're going to tuck the toes. I like to bring the blocks down to a lower level, so the middle level here. And we're going to press into that right foot, and we're going to step the left foot back, downward facing dog. So the hands are shoulder distance. And bring the hands down to the block, the end of the block that's closest to you, so you can kind of press into it a little bit. And the heels might touch down, they might not. You can bend the knees and reach the spine long. So the crown of the head reaches towards the thumbs, and the sit bones reach towards the space behind you. And see if you can bring the front ribs in just a little bit so the back body is flat. We're lengthening the spine. And maybe step the feet a little bit further back. Just noticing what you need. Maybe bend the knees. Maybe pedal out your dog a little bit here. And then we're going to, on the inhale, raise the right leg. With the right leg raised, the toes are pointing down towards the earth. This means the hips are neutral. If you want to open the hip, you can turn the right toes to the right, and this opens that right hip. And you can stay here, you can bend the knee. Some people like to open the hip, fan the hip a little bit. And then straighten the leg. And turn the toes back down towards the earth and lower the foot down. And then from here, soften the knees. We're just going to walk the feet to the hands, walking to the top of the mat. And we're back in our forward fold. Inhale presses you to a flat back. And exhale to a fold. We'll take that on the second side. So inhale to a flat back. Blocks in the best position for you. We'll step the left foot back to lunge, lower the knee. So right knee can shift forward, hips can shift forward, blocks come underneath the shoulders. We just sink the hips. We just find the foundation here. So this time the top of that left shin presses down. That right heel draws down. And see if you can lift the heart a little bit. And again, you can stay right here, hands on blocks, hands to knee, arms overhead. Or take a little back bend. The back bend, test your balance for sure. And as you're ready, bring the hands back down to the blocks. And take a breath in, tuck those left toes. We're going to step the right foot back, coming into downward facing dog again. So you can bring the hands again to the bottom edge of the blocks. And you can always take the hands to the earth as well, if that's preferred for you. It feels like we're just kind of using the blocks a lot with this practice, so it's good to have them there. This is the body lengthen. And if this is too much to lengthen both the back and the legs, then bend the knees. And just let the spine be nice and long. So what we're trying not to do is we're trying not to round the spine. We're trying to keep it long. Keep reaching through the sit bones. So bending the knees is perfectly all right. Relax the shoulders if you can. And on the next inhale, we'll raise the left leg. So again, left toes point down towards the earth. This is neutral hip. And then turn to the left. This is an open hip. And you can bend the knee. It's up to you. And straightening that leg, turning the toes down. Lower that left foot to the earth. Soft bend in the knees. And walk the feet to the hands. Going to the top of the mat. We're back in our forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale brings you to a flat back. You can move the blocks. And exhale folds you in. Make sure the feet are comfortable distance. We're going to press down with all 10 toes and find a bend in the knees. And gently draw the tailbone down towards the earth, pulling up on the pubic bones, or just pulling up on the lower belly. And we find a rounding happening as we round our way up to a stand. Letting the head be very heavy. And when you arrive, reach the arms overhead. And this time, the left hand takes the right wrist. We anchor through the right foot. And we float to the left. The inhale brings you through center. And switching your grip, we float to the right. And inhale brings you back through center. On the exhale, we swan dive into a fold. Hands come back to blocks. Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale presses you to a flat back. So I'm going to switch legs this time so I can face you first. And the left foot steps back this time. And we're going to lower the heel down. Left foot's at a 45-degree angle. Shorten your stance from your lunge before. Right toes point forward. And as you're ready, press yourself up to a stand. This is warrior one. So you can shorten your stance, bring that left foot in a little bit. You can widen your stance here, stepping that right foot to the right a little bit. And ideally, we want the hips to be turning towards the top of the mat. And if you're not used to this pose, that's a tall order. So you can make any adjustments you need to the stance. This is a pose that takes a little bit of time to feel like you're really in it, and that's okay. Then reach the arms overhead. And I know I've got a creaky floor here. Make sure the outside edge of that left foot's connected to the earth. One more breath. On the exhale, that right arm draws forward, left arm draws back. We're going to open our stance to warrior two. So the right toes still point forward. That left foot might scooch back a little bit. That left foot's still about a 45-degree angle. And the arms are out to a T. And if this is ever too much, you can bring the hands to the hips. And hips should be pretty level. That back leg is nice and long. Bending into that right knee. Right knee is stacked over right ankle. On the inhale, we'll slowly straighten that right leg. Right arm reaches up towards the sky. Left arm comes down by that left leg. You can lift the heart a little bit. Find a micro bend in that right knee and press that right big toe down. So there's a little bit of a balancing act happening here. And take a breath in. Always breathe. And then exhale, bring yourself back to warrior two. This time we're going to bring the right elbow to the right thigh. And that left arm reaches overhead. And finding length here from that left foot. See, I've got a straight line here from the left foot through the left fingers. Just letting the body get nice and long. And see if you can relax yourself a little bit so you're not releasing directly into that right thigh. So you're kind of holding yourself up a little bit. A little bit of musculature here. And slowly on the inhale, come back to warrior two. And slowly straighten that right leg. And release the arms. And turn the right toes so the feet are parallel. So you're in a wide-legged stance. You can shorten your stance a little bit if you need to. Let's take the hands to the hips. The inhale lengthens the spine. Finds just a micro bend in the knees. On the exhale, we're going to fold to a flat back. So you find your core working here. Crown of the head reaching forward. Spine's nice and long. And then release the hands to the earth. And you can have your blocks here if you need help reaching the earth. And just lower yourself down into a wide-legged forward fold. And you can walk the hands in a little bit. Let the head and the neck release and relax. And find all 10 toes connected to the earth. And relax. And very slowly, we're going to bend into that left knee and walk the hands over to the left foot. So finding a little groin stretch here. And then staying nice and low, we'll bend into the right knee, walk the hands over to the right foot. And then we'll go back to left. And once more to right. And come back through center. Now on the inhale, press yourself to a flat back, hands underneath the shoulders. On the exhale, bring the hands to the hips. In your next inhale, use the strength of your legs to rise you up to a stand. Great job. So you're going to heel toe the feet towards each other just a little bit, a couple turns. The feet are at about a 45-degree angle, and there's just a micro bend in the knees. We're going to take goddess pose, which is wonderful for childbirth. Inhale reaches the arms overhead. And the hands pass through heart center on the exhale, and we bend into the knees. So we're keeping the spine nice and long. The tailbone is drawing down towards the earth. We're bending into the knees. And you can see where this helps. And slowly on the inhale, straighten the legs. Reach the arms up. We'll take this once more. We'll also get on the other side. So take a breath in. And then hands to heart center. We bend into the knees and keep breathing, even though I cued us in with an in-breath and an out-breath. Take a breath in. Let the spine be nice and long. Find your toes. And slowly on the next inhale, we straighten the legs. Reach the arms up. Yeah, great job. So we're going to heel toe the feet a little bit wider again. We're going to come down, hands underneath the shoulders, bend into the right knee, turn the right toes to the top of the mat, make our way back to a lunge. And then we're just going to slowly step that left foot to the top of the mat. So you can take a couple hops to get there. Inhale to a flat back, hands or feet are hip width or a little wider. And exhale, we fold. And find all 10 toes, bend the knees, slowly we roll up one vertebra at a time. On the inhale, we reach the arms. On the exhale, we're just going to swan dive once more to a forward fold. And the inhale presses you to a flat back. On the exhale, the right foot steps back. And this time we lower that right foot down. So it's heel to heel alignment. That right heel's aligned with the left. The right foot's at a 45-degree angle. The left toes are pointing towards the front. And as you're ready, press yourself into warrior one. So see if you can get your feet roughly into this stance. Again, you might shorten your stance a little bit, feet will be a little bit closer together. Maybe you'll widen the stance a little bit, left foot goes out a little bit. And then take the hands to the hips. Hips are beginning to face front. Maybe reach the arms overhead. So warrior one. And then notice what's happening with the ribs here. Notice if they're popping out, like, yay, look at me. See if you can bring them back into the body. Keep the spine nice and long. Keep pressing up through the crown of the head. Take a breath in. And on the exhale, we open to warrior two. So this time, adjusting the feet so that left heel aligns with that right arch. The left toes point towards the top. And the outside edge of that right foot is pressing down. You got this. Legs are strong. Gaze is front, looking beyond the left fingers. And slowly on the inhale, straighten that left leg. Left arm reaches up. Right arm by your side. And we just reach. Again, find that left big toe. And take a breath in. And then we'll slowly pass back through warrior two. That left elbow comes down to the left thigh. The right arm reaches overhead. Finding that nice straight line from heel through fingers. And breathe. And opening it once again to warrior two. We'll straighten that left leg. Release the arms and turn the left toes so they're parallel to the right. So now both feet are parallel facing off the right side of the mat. Let's bring the arms to a T and then interlace the fingers behind the back. So you can let the palms press. Find a soft bend in the knees. Inhale lifts the heart, opens the chest. On the exhale, we slowly fold to a flat back. So if this is too advanced for you, you can always grab opposite elbows, or you can just keep the hands at the hips. And then slowly we fold all the way down. So if the hands are clasped, the palms pressed, we're just wringing out the shoulders a little bit. Relax the head and neck. And at any time you're ready to release the hands to the earth, feel free to do so. And then, if you haven't by now, release the hands down. And just feel your body's foundation, maybe bending a little bit into the knees, maybe rounding the back a little bit, finding a little cat, little cow, but just cat really. And then slowly on the inhale, press to a flat back. Exhale brings the hands to the hips. On the inhale, we rise to a stand. So I'll do this with my back to you, just so you can see my spine, if you can see my spine. So I'll heel toe the feet in towards each other, just a little bit. So coming back to our goddess pose. So the toes are always angled out. The knees and the toes are going in the same direction. We find just a micro bend of the knees, letting all 10 toes anchor to the earth. And the inhale reaches the arms. On the exhale, we bend into the knees. So the spine is nice and tall. The heart is lifted. It's as if you swallowed a broomstick. And the hips release to the earth. And very slowly straightening the legs, reaching the arms overhead. Take a breath in. On the exhale, once more. Hands to heart, bending into the knees. Letting yourself slide down into your goddess pose. Very slowly straightening once more. And release the arms. Bring the feet wide. Hands to hips. And take a breath. And soft bend in the knees. Let's just fold all the way forward. And then bend into that left knee. We walk the hands around, find lunge. And this time we're going to step that left foot back. So coming back to downward facing dog. So I don't have blocks under my hands. If you would like to grab the blocks under your hands, you can do that. We won't be here for too terribly long. Let's take a breath in. Let it go. And then soften the knees. We're going to walk the hands back to the feet. So we're making our way to the back of the mat. And make sure the feet are nice and wide. Inhale presses you to a flat back. And exhale, we fold, bending the knees. And then find your toes, draw the tailbone down, pull up on the pubic bone, and we'll slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. Great job. So we're going to make our way towards the mat. I'm going to offer you an option here. We're going to come into a Malasana squat. You might want to have a block nearby to support your hips. And then once we get onto the earth, we've got a couple more poses to do. So from here, we're going to step the feet mat width apart with the toes angled out just a little bit. So this is a deep squat. And again, I'll offer the block as an option. So the inhale reaches the arms overhead. And the hands meet on the exhale. It's a very slow descent. And let's lower to the point where the elbows connect with the knees. The knees are bending, going the same direction as the toes. When the elbows get to the knees, maybe you stop here. And see if you can pull up on the pubic bone just a little bit. It's as if you're drawing the ribs towards the hips, engaging your core. Maybe slide the elbows down a little bit more, sinking the hips, coming into the squat. Maybe not, but keep the core engaged. This will help you in the pose. And you can always take the block underneath the hips and just take a little seat if you would prefer to use this pose supported as well. You still get the benefits of the pose. You're still creating the same shape with the body, which is again a very helpful shape in the course of childbirth. And if you're taking this freestanding, just give yourself one more breath. And the best way for you will find a seat. And we're going to scoot forward on the mat. So let yourself arrive about the middle part of the mat. I'm just going to move my props off to the side. And we'll find a little table pose, but this is reverse table. So this time the knees are bent and the feet are hip distance. And the hands come behind you. Now, if this is too much on the wrists, then skip this pose. You want the fingers pointing towards the hips. And the hands are about shoulder distance. So the hands are directly underneath the shoulders. We're going to press into the hands and the feet and lift the hips up, coming into a reverse table. This is a great way to strengthen the shoulders and the back. Let me find a little glute action here. And you can stay here for a breath. And then slowly lower it down. And you can take this twice more. Inhale, presses you up, finding your reverse table. And exhale, lowers you down. You can do this several more times. We'll just do it once more as you grow in your practice. Strengthens the arms too. And slowly lower down. Great job. I'm going to turn to face you. We're going to do a couple seated poses. You can bring the blanket back, or if you had some other padding. So I like to take the blanket just off the edge of the mat and put my sit bones on it. We're going to take the legs nice and wide. So I like to keep my heels on the mat because I've got pointy heels. Kind of gentle flex in the feet. And you may not take the feet as wide as shown here, so you can find the distance that works best in your body. And just let the hands land in front. And the inhale lengthens the spine. So find what we found at the beginning. Pressing the tailbone down, pressing up through the crown of the head. And we'll slowly round forward. Finding a little bit of a hip opening. So you don't need to keep the back flat. You can let it round. You can walk the hands forward. Just let yourself come as far as is comfortable. So this then gets into the hips. And if it's not comfortable to come this far forward, you can straighten the arms and just walk the hands out a little bit. And just let yourself find your way into the pose. And breathe in. And breathe out. And very slowly press yourself up. Coming out of the pose. And you can use the hands to bend the knees. We're going to bring the feet towards each other. And so this is Baddha Konasana. The previous pose was Upavishta Konasana. So it's all about creating an angle. Konasana, Kona's angle. So you can bring the soles of the feet together. You can slide the feet a little bit further away from the body if that's comfortable. If you would like to support the knees, two different blocks here. But if you'd like to support the knees with blocks, you're welcome to use those as well. This is another hip opener. And again, we're lengthening the spine, pressing down through the sit bones, pressing up through the crown of the head. You can keep the hands around the feet if you'd like. And this time, come forward with a little bit of a flat back first. So you won't come as far forward as you otherwise would. And let the knees stay nice and heavy. Let the heart stay lifted. The chest is open. The neck is long. Just let yourself kind of drift a little bit into the pose. And slowly, as you're ready, you can take the hands to the earth and press yourself up to come out. And use the hands to draw the knees together. We're going to make our way onto the back, and we'll finish the rest of our practice either on the back, not upright, anyway. Have your blanket or your pillow handy for Shavasana. So we'll keep that nearby. And what we'll do first is we'll plant the feet hip distance and just make our way onto the back. And you might have seen this stretch before. This is a reclined pigeon. So we'll cross the right ankle over the left knee. Let that right knee fall away from you, get nice and heavy. And you can stay right here. Maybe this is enough of an opening in that right hip, or you can lift that left knee and bring it in towards the body. And some people like to interlace their fingers and place them behind that left leg, or you can straighten that left leg. But keep a gentle flex in that right foot. And the goal here is to use that left leg as leverage to bring that right knee in towards the body at this angle. So it's externally rotated. So you're actually creating a little opening here in the hip and the psoas. And see if you can relax the neck. I like to actually bring the chin towards the front of the neck a little bit. So let the back of the neck be nice and long. And see if you can relax the shoulders a little bit. So you should be feeling something in that right hip, that right piriformis, which is deep within the glute. And just breathe. And then slowly releasing the clasp, bending that left knee, returning the foot to the earth. We're just going to uncross. And you've got an option here. If you're feeling anything in the lower back, you can heel toe the feet towards the edges of the mat and keep the knees bent and just gently windshield wiper the knees, just very gently from side to side. This will help release the lower back. Take one more swish. And coming back through center, step the feet in again so the fingers can graze the heels, the feet are hip distance. And this time we'll cross the left ankle over the right knee. Let that left knee get heavy. And you can stay here or just begin to bring that right knee in towards the chest. You can interlace the fingers or straighten that right leg. And keep a flex in that left foot. And just notice how the side feels. It might feel a little bit different than the previous. And that's okay. And just feel the breath. Let the shoulders relax. And very slowly releasing the pose. Release the clasp. Lower both feet back down to the earth. And once more, if you need a little bit of swishing, taking the feet mat width apart and just windshield wipering the knees from side to side. So hopefully you're doing okay on your back. We've got one more pose, and this is something that you can always do at another time. If it feels like it's too much right now for you, lying on your back, and that is Viparita Karani. So you can use a block for this. I like to use a softer block. So step the feet about hip distance apart. Make sure the fingertips can graze the heels. We're going to press into the feet, lifting the hips, and slide the block on its lowest level, which is the widest surface area. And slide it underneath the sacrum. So it's high on the bum. And this is a supported bridge pose. You can stay right here if this feels good. And this is an inversion, but it's okay for your body. Just listen to your body. You can bend the knees and straighten the legs. This is great for feet swelling. This helps kind of bring the lymph and the fluids that have pulled down towards the lower extremities. It brings them back up into the body. It actually helps the heart work more efficiently. This is also just a great pose just to get out of the busyness of the mind. It brings you into more of a parasympathetic, a rest and digest response to life. So it helps calm you down. And so notice how you feel. Like I said, this is an inversion, but it is also recommended in pregnancy, especially later terms. And when you're done, just bend the knees and bring the feet back to the earth. And lift the hips and release the block. And so we're going to make our way into Shavasana, which in pregnancy, especially in the later terms, we do on our side. So you can bring the body, either side works. You bring your body onto a side. If you have a pillow that you would like to incorporate, you can bring that as well. Use a bolster for this. You can also use the blanket that you used before. And the idea is just to create some space. So if you would like to create some space between the knees, you can bring the bolster or the pillow between the knees. You can take the blanket if you have it and place it underneath the head. You can take the arms where they're comfortable. The idea is just to give yourself a couple moments of rest. So before you return to your busy day, just let yourself relax and release. Make sure the hips are supported, the knees are supported. You can always add, I don't have it nearby, you can always add an extra layer of clothing if the body does cool during Shavasana. And we'll just take rest for a few moments. And slowly bring awareness back. Just noticing how you feel. Inviting in a deeper breath. Bring gentle movements into the fingers, the toes. Just letting the body reawaken. And since we're already on the side body, we're just going to gently release the props. Make our way back up to a seat. End our practice as it began in a nice comfortable seat. And you can support the hips with a prop, bolster, blanket. And once more, let the fingers touch down on either side of you. And flip the palms to face up towards the sky. And on the inhale, just reach the arms overhead, gathering everything else that you need for your day, your week, your life. Bring it home to the heart. And recall the intention you created for your practice, knowing that the universe has heard your call. And give yourself an abundance of love, compassion, and gratitude for taking time today for yourself and for your practice, and for any other areas of your life that might need a little healing. And I thank you for sharing your practice with me today. The love and light within me honors and acknowledges the love and light within you. And from my heart to yours, namaste.